A couple of years ago, I honestly thought I was done with gaming. Not because I didn't love it anymore, but because I couldn't connect with it anymore. I'd still watch reviews, trailers, catch all the Nintendo Directs. I knew everything about games, but when it came time to actually play them, I just couldn't. I'd fire up a console, play for maybe an hour, then let it sit for weeks. Even games I used to love just didn't click. And maybe you've been there too, when you love the idea of gaming more than the act itself. When you want to play, but you just don't have the energy to press start. I thought maybe I'd outgrown it, or maybe gaming had outgrown me, but then I remembered something that pulled me out of my last gaming slump. This, the Nintendo 3DS. And that's when I realized I never fell out of love with gaming. I just needed to play games my way. For a while, I couldn't figure out why gaming stopped feeling fun, but looking back, it wasn't gaming that changed, it was me. I got older, life got louder, and gaming just sort of faded into the background. And when I had that precious free time, the idea of starting a 60-hour game just felt exhausting. The weird part was I never stopped thinking about games, I just stopped playing them. I'd spend hours watching people talk about gaming, reviews, retrospectives, console comparisons, all the while thinking, I can make videos like this. Maybe not as well, but I can make them. But when it came time to pick up a controller, I'd stare at the screen and feel overwhelmed. It took me like 2 years to finally finish Spider-Man, and that's the game that came with my PS4. And I liked playing it. Too often, I tell myself, okay, tonight's the night to put in a good 2 hours of playing. Then I'd boot up a game I'd been sitting on for years, play an hour, hardly ever more, and within a few days, I wouldn't boot that game back up again. Even games I knew I loved somehow couldn't hold my attention. Everything just ended up in that dreaded did not finish pile. At first, I blamed the games. Maybe they were too big, too grindy, too hard. But eventually I realized the problem wasn't the games, it was me. You see, I work all day in an office, sitting at a desk, staring at a screen, so when I get home and stare at another screen, it just doesn't feel like fun anymore, it feels like more work. Plus, the setup itself became a chore. Power on the console, grab a hopefully charged controller, wait through the inevitable updates, adjust the volume so I don't wake the kids, and by the time I was ready to play, I was already exhausted. And by the time I decided what to play, it was 20 minutes closer to bedtime. Might as well pack it in for the night. And so, little by little, I stopped even trying. Until one day, my 3DS caught my eye. My old console that got me through early fatherhood and took a hell of a beating on that battery for it. That's when it clicked. It wasn't that I'd fallen out of love with gaming, I'd just been trying to play the wrong way. Something about the intimate nature of being able to curl up in a chair or lay back in bed with just this in my hands helped me reconnect with a hobby I once really loved but had wavered with the last few years. And that realization sent me down a rabbit hole that completely revived my gaming hobby. Picking this 3DS back up changed everything. Suddenly I was playing again, not out of guilt for all the money I'd spent on games I never played, but because I wanted to. When you're in a slump, every tiny barrier feels huge. Powering on a console, waiting through updates, logging in, it all stacks up. Not to mention games these days needing to be loaded onto the console before you can actually play them. But with the handheld, I just flip it open and boom, I'm exactly where I left off. That instant on access shaved away all the friction that kept me from playing. I don't think I ever turned my 3DS off for the first 2 years I had it, which is probably why I'm already on the second battery, and even that's on its way out. But I don't care. I love being able to flip this open and get right back into the action whenever the opportunity arises. It's just so convenient to be able to get even 5 or 10 minutes of playing in when you can, and then an hour later being able to get another 5 or 10 minutes in without the consoles themselves being a barrier between you and your playtime. And sometimes 5 minutes of play is all I have, but sometimes that's all I need to want to play more. Handhelds let me game wherever feels right, couch, bed, even in the car, though not while driving. That flexibility made gaming relaxing again instead of another task. And there's just something magical about holding your game, something that makes them feel more intimate, more personal. It closes that literal gap between you, your controller, and your TV. It's an immersive experience and one I personally find I connect better with. Sure, people might say just play games on your phone, and that might work for some people, but touch controls don't do it for me. And if I'm going to carry something like this around, I'd much rather carry around something like this for that proper experience. And let's face it, nostalgia's a powerful thing, and Nintendo knows this better than anyone. Why do you think they keep remaking their games? Booting up Pokemon, Mario, Zelda, it reminded me why I fell in love with games in the first place. Handhelds are an amazing gateway to rediscovering the past right in our pockets. And that hit of familiarity made it easier to rebuild the habit of playing again. It's like sitting down to watch the game with a big bowl of stew. It's comfort food for your thumbs. Just don't put your thumbs in the stew. When I play on a handheld, it's just me and the game. I think that's why I honestly gravitate toward retro handhelds more than emulators. Just one game, one singular focus. There's no notifications, no Discord pings, no chats to distract you. That focus keeps me connected, even if it's only for 10 minutes at night. But I needed that constant connection to the characters and the story. Otherwise, it's just too easy to not play for days or weeks. And at that point, it's that much harder to jump back in. I find a little progress every day gets me that one step closer to the finish line. And because I can play consistently, I find I'm finishing more games. And just that fact alone makes me want to play the next game and the next. I'm not dreading getting back into the game I'm playing. I'm looking forward to what's next. So yeah, for me, it wasn't about chasing the newest console or the best graphics. It was about finding a way to play that actually fit the life I had now. Because it's very different than when I was a kid or in college or even before having kids. Handhelds made that possible. The crazy thing is handhelds aren't just a nostalgia trip anymore. They're thriving. We're living in a full-blown handheld renaissance. Whether you're into nostalgia-driven, pocket-sized emulators or high-power, full-blown PCs, there's something out there for every kind of gamer right now. Personally, I've been bouncing between my Ambernic RG35XX SP, my 3DS, and my Vita. Each one scratches a different itch depending on my mood. And I can't tell you how many times I've just popped this GBA open and done a few circuits on F-Zero. It's really just that convenient. Even the big players have noticed Nintendo set the bar with the Switch, and the Switch 2 just proved that demand isn't slowing down no matter how much they charge for it. Sony flirted with handhelds again, but yeah, just make the Vita 2 and at least some of us will be happy. Not to mention Valve and Asus throwing themselves into the mix. If you're looking for a dual screen handheld, you probably can't go wrong with the Iron Thor. At least I presume. I'm still waiting on mine to ship. I knew I should have pre-ordered right away, but $300 is still a decent chunk of change. It's wild to think we've gone from a time where handhelds were severely underpowered compared to home consoles to a point where they're still underpowered, yes, but also still capable of running the same games. I mean, Cyberpunk on Switch 2 might not look as good as it does on a $1,500 PC, but it's not bad for a $450 handheld. And we have more options available than ever before. Maybe too many, but hey, YouTubers gotta have content to talk about, What I love most about this moment is that it shows gaming's evolving, not just with better graphics, but with better accessibility. No longer do you have to sit down in front of your TV or monitor to experience that latest AAA game. You can play where you want and how you want. That's what handhelds gave me, and now that design philosophy is everywhere. And even though the 3DS is over a decade old, it still nails what modern gaming is finally catching up with. Instant access, portability, comfort, and connection. It might not be the most powerful thing in the world. It wasn't even the most powerful handheld when it released, but it's the one that got me playing again. The more I think about it, the more I realize handhelds didn't just get me gaming again, they reminded me why I ever loved gaming in the first place. It's not about the graphics, or the frame rate, or the newest hardware anymore. It's about connection to the game, to the world it builds, and that feeling you got when you were a kid, when you'd play just because it was fun. These days, I play games that fulfill me. I play in small bursts, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, and I cherish that I can even do that. I've realized I don't need to fit my life into gaming, I can fit gaming into my life, and honestly, that's been freeing. I've been finishing games I never thought I'd complete, from Ys as one on Vita to the original God of War. It might not be the flashiest version, but it is the most comforting, and that's all that matters. What's the point of it looking perfect if I'm never going to play it? All I wanted was to enjoy gaming again, and thanks to handhelds, that's what I'm doing. If you're in the same slump, staring at a backlog, not feeling it, maybe the answer isn't to just push through and play more, but to play different. Find something small, something portable, something simple. Give yourself permission to fall back in love with games your way. For me, that was a 3DS. For you, it might be something else entirely. Either way, I'd love to hear what's bringing you back to gaming. Drop a comment down below. Tell me what game or handheld's been your comfort pick lately. Thanks for watching, and hey, if you're still here, maybe check out my 3DS video next. It's where the whole comeback started, and it's really a great console, especially when modded.